Go.
This is my GOAT athlete. So, who is the greatest athlete of all time? I would argue to say that the greatest athlete of all time is Wayne Gretzky. I would compare him to other guys who have been impressive throughout their career, like Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, and Tom Brady. But I think Wayne Gretzky had a much better career than these guys. Some stats, records, and awards that Wayne Gretzky has gotten throughout his career. Throughout his 20-year playing career, he put together a pretty impressive resume. He currently holds 61 NHL records, 40 of those from the regular season, 15 from the playoffs, and 6 All-Star records. And we're going to take a look at those right here. And we can clearly see from this list just how impressive Wayne Gretzky was throughout his entire career. I mean, most goals in 20 seasons, he holds the, if I can get back down to it, most goals including playoffs, most goals in a season including playoffs. And I mean, some of these numbers compared to the guys like in second and third place, he nearly doubles their numbers. And a lot of times, you know, when you have a race like this, so like take example, like the most points all time in basketball was recently accomplished by LeBron James, and that was a very close race. Obviously, LeBron will create some separation now, but you don't see like guys doubling the next guy in line to that number, and it's just a very rare occurrence. And Gretzky does it for nearly 40 to 60 different records that he holds, which is just kind of insane to think about. Also, to add on to Gretzky, he is a 9-time MVP. That's the most MVPs all time in NHL history. And he's a 10-time scoring champ, which is pretty much also up there for one of the highest amount of scoring champions ever won, which is just insane. 9 MVPs is unheard of. You never see guys winning 9 MVPs throughout a playing career. Even guys who do get a lot, you know, that's just hard to think about. Also to add on, he's a 2-time playoff MVP, which is the Conn Smythe Award. He's a 5-time Lester B. Pearson Award winner. He has 4 Stanley Cup titles. He's a 5-time Sportsmanship Award winner. He's an 18-time All-Star, a 3-time All-Star Game MVP. He is a 3-time Canada Cup winner, a Lester Patrick Trophy Award winner. He's a 4-time Lou Marsh Trophy winner. And he also led his teams to 2 President's Trophies and 7 Western Conference Championships throughout his 20 years, which is pretty impressive considering how difficult the President's Trophies are to win. That's the most combined points by a team in a season. And considering that he led a team to that twice, or one of his teams to that twice, that's pretty impressive because that's pretty hard to do. And considering the fact that he was most definitely the leader on that team. Now let's take a look at some of these other guys. So Chamberlain, Jordan, and Tom Brady. So Wilt Chamberlain, he was a 13-time All-Star. He won the 1960 Rookie of the Year award. He is a 10-time All-NBA, which is pretty good. He is a 7-time scoring champ, 4-time regular season MVP. So he's not even half of what Gretzky has MVP-wise. He does have 11 rebounding champ. He's 11-time rebounding champ. He also only has 2 NBA titles. So once again, Gretzky doubles Wilt's numbers here. And he has 1 assist title. Wilt holds a few records, but I don't think any are as impressive as his rebounding record. He has the single, I didn't put it on here, but he has the single game rebounding record for 55 rebounds in a game. That's pretty impressive, and I don't think that'll ever be touched. And probably the one people hear the most about, Wilt Chamberlain holds the records for most points scored in a single game with the big 100 points, which is pretty impressive because some teams don't even get that in a single game now, and I just think that's pretty insane. Michael Jordan, we'll go on to his kind of what he did. He's a 5-time regular season MVP. So once again, Gretzky nearly doubles his MVPs as well, which is just crazy. Jordan does have 6 NBA titles, though. He's a 6-time Finals MVP, so he does kind of have Gretzky beat there. And he's also a 10-time scoring champ. So him and Gretzky are similar. Obviously, he has more than Chamberlain. Chamberlain only had 7 scoring titles. Gretzky had 10 in his career. Jordan, 10-time All-NBA first team, very impressive. A 9-time All-Defensive team. And it's kind of hard to compare Gretzky defensively with some of these basketball guys because basketball is a two-sided sport, and if you want to be a great in the game of basketball, you really have to play both sides. But Gretzky, playing hockey, he was obviously a guy who was primarily on offense. Not to say that his defense wasn't there, but he was obviously more known for his offense. And basketball is a two-sided sport, so guys can be good at both. So it's really hard to discredit Gretzky for defense. Jordan also had 14 All-Star appearances with 3 All-Star Game MVPs, so pretty similar to Gretzky. Gretzky did have 4 more All-Star games, though. And Jordan has 2 Olympic gold medals, and he was the Rookie of the Year in 1985. It is worth mentioning that Gretzky does have a gold medal. He just did not win it as a player. I believe in the 2000 or 2004 Olympics, he had a gold medal as a guy in a managerial position with the Olympic team, and he won that through that. So it was outside of his playing career, but he still does have that under his belt. And then we'll go to Tom Brady. Tom Brady has 17 NFL records, so he doesn't even have a third of what Gretzky has. And Gretzky, obviously these two are considered the greatest in their sports. Tom Brady is argued as one of the greatest football players of all time. Gretzky is, without a doubt, the best hockey player of all time. But Brady only has like a third of what Gretzky has record-wise, which is just insane. 7 of Tom Brady's regular season records, and the other 10 are playoff records. They can be found here. I won't really go into that. I think the most notable that Brady has, he has the most all-time passing yards, which is pretty impressive, and he also has the most all-time touchdowns, and he does have that by a pretty good milestone, but it's, impressive numbers, but considering that Gretzky, is doubling the guys as well, Gretzky's numbers there, to me, are just, way more important and way more impressive. Brady does have 7 Super Bowl titles, but when I think about teams that Tom Brady has played on, he has had so much help, and then I won't say that Gretzky never had help. It's just, I feel like, Tom Brady had a bunch of star talent around him, and, Gretzky had the star talent, but not as much, in my opinion, just because he is the greatest of all time. There's no debate about that, and it's pretty hard to, surround one great with a bunch of other good talent, just because you've obviously got to pay for the best, so Gretzky wasn't a cheap commodity. Brady only had 3 regular season MVPs, so not just a third of Gretzky's. He was a 5-time Super Bowl MVP, though, and he did win 2 Offensive Player of the Years. He also had a Comeback Player of the Year in 2009. He was 3-time All-Pro team, and he made the 2000 and 2010 all-time teams, so pretty impressive there. I'm going to give 3 reasons, truly, why I think that Wayne Gretzky is the best of all time. His accolades and records are just astronomical. I mean, I don't know if you'll ever see a guy like Wayne Gretzky in the game of hockey again. I mean, you only get that, it's a 1 in a million, he really is, and, you only get that kind of talent to come around so often. Number 2 is just, he was so great for so long. I think longevity really plays the key part in why guys are so great. If Jordan had stuck around for another 6 years, maybe he would have, not left. If he wouldn't have left in the prime of his career, and Wilt hadn't retired early, and maybe obviously Tom Brady played for quite a while, but I think it's just how impressive Gretzky was over the course of 2 decades is really substantial to why he is the greatest athlete of all time. And number 3, when you think about a debate of who the greatest player of all time is in each sport, there is a good debate between, like, for example, LeBron versus Jordan. Some people argue LeBron's better. Some people argue Michael Jordan's better. There's such an argument. Some people even throw in like guys like Wilt, who I think could be better in some scenarios, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But when you think about the game of hockey, there really is no guy who can truly compare to Wayne Gretzky. Like, if you ask a consistent hockey fan who is the greatest athlete of all time, 99% are going to say Wayne Gretzky. And there's no debate that he really is. There's just such a separation that whoever you argue for second is second place, and they have no shot at that number 1 spot. So, like I said, reason number 1, just it's unfathomable how many records Gretzky has, and we'll go take a look at what he holds. It's just kind of. I think we touched on this earlier, but just he really, it's really impressive. Look, I mean, this is probably my favorite thing, just to really prove how great Gretzky really was. I mean, so the most points in a single season, Gretzky has 9 of the 11 top spots. Most of which came with either the Oilers or the Kings, most of which are really the Oilers with his prime years of his career. But I think it's just so impressive. Like, obviously the only other guy in here is Mario Lemieux, who is probably the second greatest hockey player of all time. But, like, Gretzky is literally taking up 9 of the 11 spots. And he does this again with the most points in a season, including the playoffs. I mean, he just has so many of these spots. It's impressive. And, guys aren't even getting close to these numbers now. It's just something that's going to be untouchable in the future. I mean, obviously he's number 1 on all of these, but he goes 1 through 5 on this. I just think that's so impressive. And you wouldn't see, like, Jordan or, Wilt or Brady putting up some kind of numbers like that. I think it just really is insane. Another thing, like his 9 MVPs, going back to that again, it's just crazy. If you think about Jordan, Wilt, and Brady combined, they have 12, all 3 of those guys combined, and they're considered some of the greatest in their sport, respectively. But Gretzky has just 9 by himself. I mean, if you think about that, it's just kind of crazy. One guy has 9, 3 of the greatest other athletes of all time, probably the guys who are most likely, obviously 2 through 4, in my opinion, have 12. So it's just crazy to think that Gretzky takes up, if you combine all of their MVPs, there's about 21. So it's crazy to think that he takes up half of it himself. I think it's also worth mentioning that Gretzky would probably have at least 2 more Stanley Cups, maybe a couple more MVPs and playoff MVPs, if he had been with that Oilers team for longer. Excuse me. It really is just impressive how good that team was, and if he had stuck around and wouldn't have been traded to the LA Kings, I think the Oilers would have at least a couple more Stanley Cups, and Gretzky would have had a few more MVPs and playoff MVPs under his belt. So just add on, he probably would have been closer to this number if he had stuck around in Edmonton for a little longer. And I really just think this contributes to how great he was. I think this will lead us into reason number 2. Gretzky had a long career. 2 decades is a long time to be playing such a rough sport like hockey. And I really think it's so impressive how he was able to perform at a high level for 2 decades. I mean, some people, imagine doing something so harsh on the body, and, he was just continuously putting up, phenomenal stats year after year. I mean, for 20 plus years with the Rangers, the Blues, the Kings, and the Oilers. And then obviously he had even played a little bit before that in the WHA and the OHL and whatnot. So he had about a 25 career year in total, even 5 years of playing hockey before he was actually in the NHL. And along with that, he was such a durable guy. Like he's playing 79, 80 games in these first few years, and then going all the way to even the end of his career with the Rangers, playing all 82 games. I mean, that's really impressive. When you're getting to that age, it's just, you're obviously wearing down a lot, but, Gretzky was just proving that he was able to still compete and put up with those guys and, put up big numbers like that, which is just really impressive to me, how he was able to do this for so long. And then we'll go into our my last reason why I think Gretzky is the greatest. And it really just goes back to that debate, how Gretzky, there is no debate who is the best in hockey. It is Wayne Gretzky. There is no doubt in my mind it is Wayne Gretzky. I mean, you look at his records, you look at he has the most MVPs of all time. I keep throwing these things out, but there is nobody close to him. You think about LeBron versus Jordan, or even like something like Babe Ruth versus Hank Aaron. People debate, and there's a close debate. But when you think about the sport of hockey, with Wayne Gretzky, it's not up for debate. It is Wayne Gretzky. It's not Mario Lemieux, Mark Messier, Jerome Jagger, any guys like that. It is definitely by far Wayne Gretzky. That's all I've got. That's why Wayne Gretzky is the greatest.